Hello, everyone. I'd like to share with you channeled spiritual guidance from 2012 and beyond, the truth from Archangel Michael. It's a representation. Some of you will be completely new. It is in many ways a timeless book, as you'll see probably more and more as we get into the different chapters. I will have the chapters down below. If we don't get through everything today, it'll be considered part one, along with anything else you may need or would like to know about me, my work, etc. will be in the description box with some links there also. Also, a great heartfelt thanks to everyone who is newly subscribed to my channel, and even those of you that haven't newly subscribed, it's been around for a while. I appreciate it very much for your likes and your shares. So the book is available only in ebook now, and if you will stay tuned through all portions of the uploads here, you'll have it yourselves to listen to. So I'd like to begin, as Michael said in the introduction. Before humanity existed on the earth plane, before humanity existed on earth in your reality, I say unto you, mankind was first created in a distant galaxy. The distant galaxy is known as the Pleiadian galaxy. There are over 16 galaxies in the universe of which I will speak. He means in this text, of course. Your galaxy is one. The Pleiadian galaxy is another. And you may view the remaining galaxies as if we were putting ingredients into a cake, in which all of its ingredients make up one total reality. The Pleiadian galaxy has existed before creation. I know this will fall upon some ears as simply untrue. I expect this and honor this. It is important to realize this one beginning truth before we continue. And the truth stated another way is that mankind's galaxy is not the only galaxy supporting life. It is important to understand this concept so that you can move your ego aside and understand that for many of you, your original home can simply not be called Mother Earth. I do indeed want to assure you that this communication together, this sharing of information together, is one of collective divine wisdom. By that I mean it is not simply my version of the truth. It is the version of every being from the angelic realm. I would also like to take the opportunity to let every soul know in advance that it is not my intent to frighten, alarm, or dissuade anyone from a place of harmony. I would agree sometimes truth can be frightening, but this is not a transmission of a text about the end of the world. It is wisdom about the creation of the world. With that in mind, I invite you to cast aside certain beliefs that you may have already formed in your mind about the years beyond 2012 and start afresh. Lastly, I'm asking everyone, when finished hearing this material, to embrace their brothers and sisters with new eyes possessing a greater depth of love and kindness, compassion, hope, acceptance. Sit back, strap yourselves into the intergalactic starship, and get ready for a heck of a ride. Chapter 1, what does it hold? I'm trying to decide how to share this information for your understanding and not sound like an astrophysicist, but share some principles of great science. With this in mind, I invite the most enlightened earthly figures of the world, as well as those souls of very young of mine, to embark on this journey with me. This journey begins right now. Between this moment and advancing onwards, there are going to be a series of seismic eruptions. This in and of itself is not that unusual, because mankind has experienced seismic eruptions throughout history. If I were to tell you that the seismic eruptions to come are being caused by interstellar influences, this may be a surprise. There are other dimensions with a greater intelligence than your own. You may be asking yourselves, then what is the purpose of earthly eruptions from another dimension or dimensions? I say to you, the reasons for these series of eruptions is so the toxins that are contained within Mother Earth, which are thoughts that have been created over your history, are released. Returning to something that I just mentioned, and that is other life forms of intelligences, dozens actually exist outside of your world. Remember, I began by stating this is how the majority of you came here to Earth, from the Palladian galaxy. By now already, I suppose many of you are scoffing at the idea. Again, this is nothing new to me. I love each and every one of you, whatever you believe is my wisdom or not. This is actually to be seen as a great blessing, this higher form of intelligence. For without it, I would suggest that many of the great accomplishments in your earthly history would not have occurred. Without your origins developing from a higher intelligence, economic, spiritual, and physical development would have been halted. Now I would like to share the wisdom of Herculon with you. Herculon is another galaxy in which intelligent life exists. Some of the stars of the Palladian galaxy can be seen with the naked eye, depending upon which part of the world you are viewing the sky from. Unlike Herculon, Michael spelling it Herculan, which is thousands upon thousands of light years away. Herculon cannot be seen by the naked eye. Nevertheless, Herculon exists and is another galaxy I would like you to become familiar with. Herculon is a galaxy comprised of several planets. Their collective energy is one of strength and power. And it is funny to me in a way that a Herculan fiber is indicative of the Herculan galaxy in its strength and durability. So the next time you may walk upon your carpeting, for those that have it, think of this intelligent life in a far-off distant galaxy. It is important to know that the Herculon galaxy, of which Herculan is a major planet, will be discovered within the next 100 years. Interstellar travel between your galaxy and the Herculan galaxy will occur within 300 years. Why is this important to know? It is every bit as important to know as any other of your earthly discoveries have been. It will be a discovery of monumental proportions, likened to the discovery that your world is not flat by Galileo. This will be seen as the discovery of the new frontier. Interstellar communication will continue to involve traveling between your world and other galaxies. There is likely to be some global trepidation unless the truth of interstellar life is presented in a non-threatening way. Perhaps the meaning of the time that you're living in is the opening of new doorways from your world to others. Please promise me, dear souls, that you will not make fun of the little green Martians because they do not exist. What does exist is a loving, infinitely expansive cosmic tapestry. You might say that the purpose of the changes, the shifting of the energies, which is already being felt, is in preparation for the launching of interstellar communication as never witnessed before. By now, your minds may be questioning me, may be questioning God mind. I say to you that what I have said so far does nothing to diminish the power or belief in the existence of God, the God force, the infinite mind, supreme being, Allah. I have not said that there are 12 gods or 12 infinite minds, have I? I have simply said that there are multi-galaxies and therefore multi-dimensions. Does anyone know what a starseed is? I would like to enlighten. A starseed is someone who came to Earth from either the Palladian galaxy or Herculan galaxy for the purpose of transmuting any disharmonies. I suppose that is almost too broad to imagine, so I will clarify it for your minds. A starseed, for example, might be someone sitting across the table from you, but their soul essence came for the express purpose of facilitating a smooth transference of Earth energy to intergalactic energy. You might think of a starseed as someone like a CEO who is put into a position to oversee a job and to ensure that the job of others is done smoothly. It is not important that you recognize a starseed because in every way, shape, and fashion, they look like you, they or them. It is important to know that they exist to help understand that there is a divine intelligence, a divine mind that orchestrates everything that goes on in your world, everything, absolutely everything. I would like to just interject that the Herculon galaxy, many of you may be listening and even know your for example, star home is Sirian or Arcturian or something. Kind of for simplicity, the Herculon galaxy, Michael tends to place all the other light races that many of you are familiar with besides the Pleiadians in that grouping. If I can make that side note. All right, so let us continue. I would like to pose a couple of questions for your reflection. Who do you think carries the highest vibration? A man who has just lost his job, or a man or a woman? Man meaning collectively, if Michael uses that in the text here. Who has just secured a job and lost it? Every thought, every object, of course, is a vibration. Every vibration translates into a frequency. Many can appreciate the Hertz frequency. So when I say to you that 10 years ago, approximately a decade, is the time when lower frequencies were largely vanished, I mean that many of the emotions associated with this negativity will be lessened. I reside often in the fifth dimension. My frequency and that of those in my dimension only carry this vibration. So it is the infinite mind working, creating these opportunities of fifth dimensional energies to come into your reality. The simplest of answers, as the mind thinks them, to the question that I just posed of who vibrates higher, a man who has just lost his job or a man who has just secured a job. Excuse me, I might have misread that a moment ago. Michael says, the simplest of answers is that the man who has just secured the new job resonates at a higher frequency because he most likely embodies emotions like hope, excitement, attitude, gratitude, anticipation. But if we extend the learning further, I will suggest to you that this soul could also simultaneously possess the lower vibrations of the two men. This man, again, collective man, woman, let's say, will also could resonate with other frequencies, fear, doubt, worry, and uncertainty. So you see, the discussion of vibration, frequency, and resonance can be a very complicated manner indeed. If I were to tell you that many of the indigo and crystalline children who have already entered your world have a new DNA structure within them that actually prevents judgment from forming, how would you respond to this? I will tell you how the divine realm is responding to this. We are in celebration. If you can imagine a billion angels all jumping up and down all at one time, then you will imagine as well. Michael, I would like to make 2 points for pause and reflection. If any of you have worked with Archangel Michael before, he's usually quite humorous at times. And here he makes 2 points for reflection. the concept of life without judgment, and a little more light-hearted comment, the concept of angels jumping up and down. If I've enlisted at least a chuckle, then I will have affected your vibration. Imagine now the depth and infinite wisdom that created this time in your world that is like any other. The point worth reflecting upon is the concept that souls in your world today, under the age of 20, approximately, and all of the souls of their children, in other words, all generations of those souls, have genetically been restructured to live lives without judgment. How huge, how beautiful, how graceful this gift. To demonstrate further, I would ask everyone to list for me and for themselves 10 things they regularly judge in their lives. I will make a few suggestions to get your minds going. Judging someone by their appearance, judging someone by their vocation, making moral judgments, and I would also, of course, say placing judgment upon yourselves. If you happen to be fortunate enough to have met any of the crystalline children, you will notice something different about them when you meet them, but may not know initially what it is. I will tell you what it is: the removal of judgment from their soul. If you are fortunate enough to meet a crystalline child and be in their company for a few minutes, you will start witnessing different things. And one of the differences is that they will look at you differently than other people. How will they look at you differently, you might ask? Their eyes will have no judgment in them. It's like a filter that has been taken out. And since their eyes are a reflection of their soul, what you are likely to see and experience in the first generation of crystalline children is unconditional love. I wonder how many of you have experienced unconditional love from a stranger. But this is what the crystalline children were asked to bring to your world. I hear some of you saying, "Angel, but without judgment, how will I know anything?" I say unto you, it is not judgment that creates thought. It is the judgment that creates prejudice, jealousy, and greed. You see, in order for Mother Earth to have the highest vibrational energy, there have to be souls to support it, to root it to her. So there have been more and more every single day, if your minds can imagine this. Let us go back and examine the idea of judgment again. It's just one element of the time of Great Awakening. What is the Great Awakening? It's the Great Awakening of spiritual consciousness. It is actually a reawakening of the known frequencies that exist. If you can imagine this in another way, imagine over the centuries that your world and all of its inhabitants evolved to develop a cloud or a fog over them, over Mother Earth. Then you will have envisioned exactly what has happened. Through the centuries, mankind's thoughts collectively have clouded Mother Earth. Because Mother Earth is a planet, and a planet is a living thing. Just as the stars are living things, as asteroids are living things, as black holes are living things, solar flares are living things, also, for example, with a pulse and a tempo. If you were following my wisdom, you were beginning to understand that the cloud that has been created was actually created through judgment. One more comment about judgment before we leave this topic. You may do it if you wish for your soul growth. I ask you to take a week out of your lives and keep track of how many times you make a judgment about something or someone during the course of your day. Most of you will be amazed by the number of times you form a judgment. One last thing, you may say, Angel, I do not understand the value of this restructuring of the new DNA. Help me understand this further. You may be saying that judgment helps me to make wise decisions. To say to you, this is simply untrue. Try this experiment. Tie a cloth around your eyes for a day and go about your lives in this manner. Sadly, judgment has become largely a visual one. If I told you that people without sight were some of the most enlightened teachers of your world, what would you say? The next time you see a blind person on the street, I ask you to bless them and thank them for teaching you non-judgment. Crystalline children are actually known by this name in some regions of your world. They receive their name, crystalline children, and I would add, and young adults, by the crystalline frequency they carry. The crystalline frequency originates in the Pleiadian and Herculon galaxies. The crystalline children, in addition to having their molecular structure changed so they can enter your world without judgment, possess an insatiable curiosity, an insatiable calmness and peace. At first they may seem strange, and indeed they may be different from the majority of the souls in your world. However, they, along with the indigo, rainbow, Antillean from Atlantis, and blue moon children, will be approaching the majority. Give thanks. Now it's your turn to jump up and down, Michael says. You may think of them as the genetic blueprint for the earth. Hallelujah. Let us rejoice. Let me go on to say that in no way, shape, or fashion is it my intent for anyone who is hearing these words or have read this wisdom to feel guilty for any thoughts of themselves or their ancestors of the creation of this cloud. You see, frequency along with judgment is being moved aside. I offered this just as an explanation of what is going on and why. You can, however, even without being a light worker or one of the enlightened younger generations, take up your own sword and join in the unseen spiritual battle where lightness overcomes darkness. Because you see, if the crystalline children and others like them are seen as the generals in this unseen army, they need troops to support them. Please be clear with this in your mind when you think and say, the sword, it is a sword that can only heal with divine light. Before I go on, I wish to give my thanks to those light workers who have made themselves available for this transmission to take place, and there are millions of you in existence now. As I said to you that every light worker hearing or reading this text, hearing these words, have known in their soul since birth that they would be assisting in this time, at this time in mankind's history. This may also surprise you. I hope that my surprises are seen more like positive enlightenment rather than startling and unsettling. Without the light workers who have been called to serve, agreed to serve, there would be some large cosmic obstructions. Some of the large cosmic obstructions of which I speak are life forms from other galaxies not fully in light. As you know, there is lightness and darkness in your own lives, so it should be easy to extend the concept that there is goodness and darkness in other galaxies. Therefore, those of you who wish to pledge to serve in my Lightworkers Army, I offer the following. I, with your name stated out loud, agree to serve in the unseen spiritual army of the Great Awakening. When a soul agrees to this, it is a spiritual commitment that they will demonstrate love and kindness in some way until they cross over and leave the earth plane of existence. To give an example, it could mean that when a soul is older, they remember to open the door for someone, smile to a loved one. You see, in that sense, love has no boundaries. Be taught that the frequency of a smile has as much frequency as the intent of 100 people reconstructing a town after a flood. I am personally assigning certain specific jobs to assist with integration of these frequencies. By that I mean for a soul who wishes to do more, I will humbly advise them, assign them to a particular area of the world to work in, etc. For some souls who wish to sign this service agreement, it may involve sending healing energy through the mind, thousands of miles away, to where that person or individuals, animals, etc. may be existing. That is, of course, the power of the mind. I have, for example, already called dozens to serve in Pakistan through mind healing. I have already called thousands to serve in Ethiopia through mind healing. I have already called thousands of light workers to send healing energy to Belfast. There are noticeably certain regions of your world, Mother Earth, that have been damaged, perhaps more than others, through mankind's thoughts. I have the greatest job in the universes, for I get to work with this gigantic crossword puzzle, Michael says, filling in the blanks with the pieces that need to be put in place. These are areas mentioned by no means the only areas that need service from those in my spiritual army. Please make sure that when I use these words, and you think of words like army and soldier, you dissolve any images and thoughts that may have been associated with what these two words can invoke. Any images of killing, destruction, and violence. Replace in your mind, in your cellular memories, therefore, that the army I am speaking about is the army of love. If you are drawn to agree to this document, you can choose your own backyard if you wish to serve. Call upon your infinite God mind, infinite mind, high self-wisdom, and serve, if you wish, in the furthest corners of the globe. It is not terribly difficult for souls to identify in their own minds where in the world help is needed. I am asking, wherever in the world you think needs help, give it. We have global markers in place, almost like a giant scorecard of what quadrants of the globe are receiving greater healing than others, because thought is an energy that can be measured. Since land is denser than water, my preference is that those who need more direction on where to serve and where to send their healing energy should choose a land mass first. When I say dense, it means that land mass retains more memory than water mass. To further this idea, I say to you that when there is a flood, the water which floods the land is actually cleansing us. Here was a question that was presented at the time of the downloading of the original text. What can we expect after 2012 and into the decades ahead? And Michael's response is, you can expect friendships developing amongst strangers. You can expect varying degrees of physical ailments which are temporary. There will be a restructuring of the world's financial centers, and the plant and animal kingdom will continue to modify its molecular DNA structure. You can expect some reforestation. Expect to learn of forests that will need to die in order for trees with new DNA to take their place. Until now, I've been talking about you, the collective soul, you, the body human. But of course, that is only one form of life on your planet, and since nothing exists in a vacuum, I would like to describe changes to expect within your planet and the animal kingdom. Perhaps I should have started a dialogue with the plant and animal kingdom, because in terms of hierarchy of life, it is equal to that of man. If I upset some of you so much that you've closed your ears off to this text, or stopped reading the text, I honor this. But to those of you who are still engaged, I ask you to accept this wisdom as truth. I think many of you will understand the idea this way. The level of divinity within the tiniest titmouse is the same as that of the mightiest sequoia and the mightiest of men. Sometimes this idea is overlooked. The divinities within Michelangelo, Alexander Graham Bell, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and all of the Nobel Peace Prize winners put together are identical. Have I opened your eyes? Good. So I think I'll close here with the conclusion then of chapter 1.